Hey guys, welcome back. This is History of Futurama Season 4, Episode 5 of my show, which is also going to be about Episode 5. Now, Episode 5 is known as Leela's home world. Now, before I start talking about it, I just want to mention this is going to be the last video I'm going to do for a little bit probably till the weekend. Because, well, this weekend coming up is a long weekend and everything, and the next 2 days, I'm going to be at day program Thursday, Friday, so, yeah, so I won't be, that's the reason why I won't be uploading any videos those 2 days. I mean, I might still, but I'm not really sure if I'll get the chance to, depending on the time. But if I don't, then expect some videos to be out maybe Saturday, Sunday, Monday, probably. I just wanted to get that out of the way before I started talking, but anyway, getting into it. This is History of Futurama Season 4, Episode 5 of my show, which is also going to be about Episode 5. Now, Episode 5 in Futurama Season 4 is known as Leela's homeworld. Now, basically, as the name of this episode sort of states, this is the episode where Leela comes to find out where she's from, basically. But the way this episode first starts off is, what happens is the professor goes into the conference room where the rest of the employees are with Leela, and he mentions to them that he has some good news. Do they know the orphanarium where Leela grew up? And then Fry makes a joke about that by saying that they mention it all the time, and then she thinks that they do, but then he says that they don't, and then he and Bender do like a high five segment, and then basically the professor is basically congratulating them for that, and then he's telling them that that same orphanarium is honoring Leela as the orphan of the year, basically, and then Amy basically mentions that her parents wasn't so proud, and then that's when she realizes that she's an orphan. But as I stated with the name of this episode, this is where she's gonna find out her origin, basically. I'll explain about her origin when I get to the part of it. I just wanted to bring that up since I mentioned it anyway. Anyway, they basically, they go to where the awards ceremony is, which is at the Cookieville Minimum Security Orphanarium, which is run by Warden Vogel, who is both the warden of that establishment and also he's a bureaucrat like Hermes. I just figured I'd mention that. Now, the reason why I know he's a bureaucrat in this series is because of one of the cards that you can collect in the Futurama Game of Thrones app was for bureaucrats, and Warden Vogel was one of the card collectibles. That's how I know. Anyway, getting back into the actual storyline of the episode now, basically, what happens is, after that, Warden Vogel is basically saying that, giving a speech and telling them that he'll never forget the day he first found Leela, and the reason why he says he'll never forget is because he has a photographic memory and he remembers every night Oh my god. And then basically what happens is, then it shows the flashback of how Leela ended up at the orphanarium in a basket. Kind of similar to the one that was in the episode where the people from the orphanarium had the reunion, but that basket was a exploding gift invitation basket. And then Warden Vogel realizes there's a note attached to it, and then he said that it's most likely an alien language, and he said that he guesses that she's an alien because of that. And he tells her what a beautiful gigantic guy he has, and then that's when Leela kicks him, and then he takes her inside, and then that's when the flashback ends. Now that flashback is gonna play a hand in the sort of the ending segment, as well as a montage leading into a montage segment at the end of the episode. I just wanted to get that out of the way, since I brought it up anyway. Anyway, Leela mentions that from those, the warden mentions that from those humble beginnings, Leela went on to be an accomplished starship captain and stuff, and it's his greatest honor to place her on the wall of the most recognized alumni. Basically, it's the Orphanarium Hall of Fame, essentially. Basically, orphans that were from there. And Leela gives a speech, and while Warden Vogel's putting up the picture, and then while she's in the middle of the speech, because she tells them that she didn't know if her, like most of them, she never knew her parents. She didn't know if they were just alien and freedom fighters or janitors making a wage on Earth as aliens and stuff, and that's when Warren Vogel manages to put the picture up, and he says to them finally, he's like, "Picture's up," but then Bender looks at the picture and he tells the warden that it's crooked. He tells them that the picture's crooked, which means that, well, it is up, but it's either, like, I think it's slightly to one side or something. But basically, that's when Leela finishes her speech and then mentions to them that it doesn't matter who her parents were, and that basically all she needs is what she learned from being in the orphanarium, and basically being in the orphanarium, and that she can make it on her own, and then that's when the kids start cheering, and then one of the female orphans puts an iPad to be Leela, and then the boy, one of the male orphans named Albert, he says that he double Leela, which basically means that he's covering both his eyes with his hands. And then he runs into the wall because he covered both of his eyes, which then causes the picture to get loosened up again. And then Warden Volko gets upset with him and he's like, "That's it, Albert! No more espresso for you!" And then in the next scene, what basically happens is, Leela then starts crying after looking at a photo album, basically, and then that's when Fry sees her, and he wonders why she's upset, and then she said that she's not, she didn't want to know what today and give a speech. But then they go out for a walk, and then she explains why she was upset, and then she told all the kids that being an orphan made her strong, but all she really wanted was to have a home. Now I'm just gonna quickly backtrack here to the professor and basically Bender here, because they're gonna play, those two characters in this specific episode are gonna play a hand in Leela kind of meeting her parents. What I mean by that is, I'll explain what I mean when I get to there, but I'm just gonna explain what I mean when I said that. Basically, the professor basically, at the beginning of the episode, he showed them this machine, like, after he told them the good news about Leela getting the award and stuff, he showed them this machine that he built that makes glow-in-the-dark noses, basically. Oh my god, which basically is a fake nose placed over a person's real nose that glows in the dark. So he turns it off, and then he turns the lights off, and then Bender gets excited because that means he can punch him in the nose in the dark. Oh my god, I'm sorry, but that's hilarious. But afterward, Fry notices that the machine is spewing some toxic goop and some weird kind of goop and placing it in barrels, and then he wonders what that is, and then the professor basically tries to downplay what it is by saying it's nothing. It's nothing. Yes, nothing. If you think it's anything, you're a suspicious moron. And then Hermes says that it looks like toxic waste, and then he sniffs it and he realizes that it also smells like toxic waste. Then Fry wonders what it tastes like, so Hermes takes a little drip of the goop onto his finger to taste it, and he's like, delicious fig pudding! Oh, that's good! But this is where the toxic waste part of it comes in, because he said that it does taste like delicious fig pudding, which is delicious. I won't deny that, because any type of pudding like that, fig pudding is kind of delicious. But he said that it also has a distinct aftertaste of toxic waste. Oh my god. So essentially, because of the distinct aftertaste word, they come to the realization that it is toxic waste. And then basically, the professor's like, alright, so the machine makes a few toxic byproducts. You don't need to make a federal case out of it. And then Hermes is like, he's afraid that he does, which in this case makes sense, because he's a part of the federal bureaucracy, which means that he has some federal influence, and he basically tells the professor to dispose of the toxic waste properly or bribedly. Either way, it'll cost them a certain $100 amount of money, and then basically Bender offers to get rid of the professor's toxic waste for him at a lower price point than what Hermes suggested. And that's when the professor mentions that he knows that it's a rip, but he'll take it for the convenience, and he wonders if Bender takes credit cards, and he sees that they should find out, so he swipes the credit card that the professor has over his mouth, which means it does take it. I just wanted to backtrack to that, since, not because I missed it, but because I kind of, I didn't miss it really. I just figured I'd come back to it to mention it now, because it leads into Bender's storyline with this episode. Plus, also it leads into, like I said, it also leads into Leela finding out about her parents and stuff. So that's why I saved that part for after I did the part with Leela and stuff. Anyway, getting back into the segment with Leela, anyway, she mentions to Fry that when she looks up at the sky, she wonders, she apologizes to Fry because she normally doesn't let that part of her come out, and then basically Fry said that he liked it, and then she mentions that basically she told all of the orphans at the orphanarium that being an orphan made her strong, but all she really wanted was to know who her parents were and where she came from and stuff. And then basically Fry tries to comfort Leela about that, and then afterward she said that when she looks up at the stars, she just knows that her parents are down up there watching her, and then which technically it's not true. They're actually down in the sewers because that's where she was born anyway. But she doesn't know that at this point in the episode. But she will come to the realization anyway. So because her parents are actually underneath her, basically in the sewers. Oh my god, I'm gonna explain more about that later. But anyway. Now I'm going to get into the actual sort of main storyline of the episode. What I mean by main storyline is the main storyline of it after that whole thing with the orphanarium. It centers around Bender's toxic waste sort of disposal business that he starts because of what he does for the professor. Oh my god. So he starts dumping the waste down the sewer hole. First by using a giant conveyor hose to dump the sewer in, which causes the sewer mutant to come up above ground after he dumped it, and then the police are telling her to stay underground because no mutants are allowed on the surface. But then she mentions that the robot ruined her wedding dress, and he says that that dress was ruined the moment he put it on her, and then basically after that, basically, Bender gets to dumping out one of the other places that he had a contract with, and then basically while he's dumping it out into the sewer, Leela is trying to basically scold him for what he's doing. She mentions that there are two reasons why what he's doing is a bad thing, because well, the one thing is the actual reason, and the second reason is actually a secondary reason is that it's bad anyway. Because the first reason why what he's doing is wrong is because if he does it, the sewer mutants are gonna be mad. And then secondly, oh my god, secondly, everything else is wrong with what he's doing. Oh my god, I'm sorry. Basically, those two things are actually three things in a sense. Oh my god, I am so sorry, but I can't help it, I kinda gotta laugh about that because that's hilarious. Anyway, but then Bender mentions that Leela must be missing one simple fact. Namely, the mutants are down there, and he's all the way up which means basically he's up on the surface, and then basically that's when the mutants grab him from underground, and then basically what happens is after that they start holding the three of them hostage, and then basically the three-armed mutant in the sewers that is giving them the death penalty. Well, first he's explaining that what about their once proud Lake Mutagenic sewer lake before Bender dumped the toxic chemicals into it. And then the mutant that has like a pig-like nose said that the radioactive waste that he's dumped in it has caused them to see how ugly they actually are. And then basically, that's when they decide to give them punish them for that, and then they start running, and then basically, after they run, the mutants chase them, and then that's when they come, well, first what actually happens is, before they actually start chasing them, they decide to give them the... Well, they start chasing them because they get on the one side of the water, and then the three-armed mutant mentions that they can go after them because the waters won't mutate them since they're already mutants, and then basically they start running, and then basically they find this house that has all this newspaper article stuff in it. Basically, the newspaper articles that they have in it and stuff are newspaper articles from Leela's past, essentially, like from when they stopped that giant garbage ball and stuff. And then, oh my god! And then after Leela realizes, seeing some of the stuff, and Prime notices that one of the things is that she put down the toilet was a letter containing his personal feelings, which I don't know if that was a hint as to their relationship kind of thing. I don't know. I really don't. But anyway, she says that it's some sort of weird Leela museum, and she's the Leela, and then basically, what happens after that? Oh my god, I'm sorry, but I gotta kind of giggle about it because it's hilarious. Anyway, Leela starts to get scared because to her, what this is her whole life's gonna show for some pretty mutant, and then they, and then the mutants find them, and then Bender says in a joking way, and then Bender ran! And then they start running again, but then the mutants catch them, and the three-armed mutant tells them that this time he's calling for the death penalty, and not just because he's running for re-election for Supreme Mutant, and they start chanting like 4 more years and stuff like that, and then they basically what the death penalty for them is the humans are gonna be dumped into the mutagenic lake, and once the mutated waters touch them, they'll be transformed into mutants like them, permanently transformed into horrible mutants like them, especially the one with the foot. And then basically what happens is they start lowering them into the mutagenic water, and then basically Bender starts freaking out. But he's wondering why he's freaking out, because he doesn't have any human DNA to mutate, so why should he be freaking out? And then they say that they're gonna beat him up afterwards. Oh my god. So he starts freaking out again after that. And then basically what happens is, after that, these two mutants in hoods see Leela, and then one of them in a female voice mentions Leela's full name, which is Tarango Leela, and then she wonders how they know her name, and then they manage to save her from being placed in the mutagenic waters. And then after talking with the mutant, with the three arms, he mentions that instead of them being placed in the mutagenic waters, they'll be brought up to the surface. Afterwards, they will never be allowed to return to the sewers. And then basically Bender starts to get upset about that, and then Leela wonders why they're not gonna mutate them anymore, and then Bender kinda has to agree with her about that because he's like, yeah, what are you, chicken? And then basically, Fry said, tells them to be quiet because they can mutate themselves when they go home. Oh my god. And then they basically, the mutants give them transportation back to the manhole that leads to the surface by using an airship made from old Thanksgiving Macy's parade balloons, containing Garfield's owner John's forehead, Bart Simpson's left knee and shin, and another one that I can't really remember. And then the mutant that had them brought into the blimp tells the mutant in charge of the blimp to fire up the sewer gas, which is basically its version of a hot air balloon, basically. But the thing that powers it is sewer gas instead of hot air. Anyway, so they start coughing because of the sewer gas, and then they manage to bring them to the surface, to the ladder where the manhole is, and then he's telling them to move it, and he's calling them an ugly bunch of normals, and then Fry and Bender manage to get safely to the surface, but as Leela's about to reach the surface and leave, she closes the hatch on her end, and because Bender tells her that they gotta hurry, and then basically after she closes the hatch, Fry wonders what she's doing, and then basically Bender says that the bus is leaving, and then she explains that she'll be okay, and then she basically, in a sense, basically what she's doing is she can't leave until she finds out what they know about her. So she basically dives into the mutagenic waters and comes up with an octopus head, but the octopus head is basically just an attachment thing that was created from someone else, and then because when she takes it off, she realizes that the lake didn't mutate her, and then she wonders what's going on, and then the octopus says that he worked on him because he used to be a young blonde hair girl named Virginia, and then basically then she sees the two masked mutants again, and then she asks them who the hell are they, and then basically the female one says that no one, and she tells her to watch her language in a parenting tone, which is true because she's Leela's mother and stuff, but Leela doesn't know that until the ending part of this episode. Anyway, they start running from Leela basically, and then basically what happens is, when Fry's back on the surface, what happens is he goes to the orphanarium to talk to Warden Vogel about what's going on with Leela, and he mentions that Leela's going nuts, and he can't figure out how to help her without finding out what happened in her mysterious past. Isn't there anything that he has that can help him figure it out? And then basically the warden said that no, nothing that wouldn't be worth his time, and then basically Fry said that that's impossible because his time is worthless. Oh my god. Which I don't know if that means is because I don't know if that means he views for him the 20th century was a bad century, or if he just doesn't have any time, doesn't take the time to do anything at all. I really don't know the specifics about that, but anyway, but getting back into the point, anyway, Warden Vogel says that then there is something, and then he gives Fry the note that he found with Leela when the night she was abandoned. And he tells her that it's written in alienese, so no one on Earth could translate it. And then basically, Fry takes the note, and Warden Vogel mentions that he just wishes he could be of more help, but does he want any dirt on any other orphans? And then he says he's in a hurry here, but he'll have to come back for those later. And then basically what happens is, Fry takes the note to the professor, and the professor basically uses the machine that made the noses to figure out what was translated on the note. And then after they wait a little while for it to be done, because they had to wait for it to ding twice and slightly less rapid for it to be done. And then that's when they read the note when it's comes out, and that's when a flashback sequence happens to Leela's origin, and then basically in the flashback, Leela is basically born in a mutant in the sewers, and then basically her parents are happy that it was one that she doesn't have any extra anything, and then basically the doctor that helped with Leela's birth basically mentioned that in her professional opinion as an ear, nose, and throat doctor, she is the least mutated mutant ever born. And then basically Leela's father in the flashback is saying that yet she's doomed to live the cursed life of a mutant like all of us, especially the mutant with the foot. Oh, and then basically, what happens is after that, the foot mutant says that that's true, and basically, and then Leela's mother mentions that, basically, maybe they could do better for her, so that's why they abandoned her at the orphanarium with the chance to basically give her a better life than being a mutant and stuff, which then leads into how she got left on the porch. But basically what happened is her father made her a bracelet, so that he tells her after that, before they leave, that he made the bracelet so that in some small way they could always be with her, even if they weren't during her entire life, for example, and they start getting upset, and that's when her mom leaves the note, and then after giving a kiss and ringing the doorbell, they run away from the door and get back into the sewers, and then that leads into what happened earlier in the flashback with Warden Vogel finding the note and figuring out that it was an alien language, so she must be an alien, and then that's when he's him to be kicked in the chin by Leela and stuff because of that, and then basically her father mentions that Leela will never know that they're her parents, and then her mom said that that's their gift to her. Better they should die than learn the shameful truth of her origin. And then he said that he's right with her about that, and then basically they jump down and back into the sewer, and then that's basically where the flashback stops, and then it goes back into the present timeline where Leela is still basically chasing them. And then basically after she gets to the door that they were at, basically, she tries to open it because she realized that they opened it without him, but it doesn't work, so she goes around the back, and then basically, Leela's mother is telling her father to be quiet and don't talk too loud, and then basically her father mentions what is there to talk about, and then she shows up behind them and tells them to put their hands up in tentacles as well, and then basically she starts asking them multiple questions, like, she's like, what is all this? Am I some kind of game to you? Or some even more embarrassing Truman Show? Do you believe that I'm your messiah, the mutant Dalai Lama? Stop me if I guess it! And then basically, well, before the talking started, Leela's mother was telling her father to not say anything stupid and call him Morris, which I'm guessing is his name. That's when his father said that actually that, and then she realizes about the bracelet, and she wonders how they got it, and then she starts getting upset because she wonders that they killed her parents, and then she says that they did. They say that they did, and then Leela gets upset about that, and leading into her almost wanting to kill them, but Fry manages to stop Leela by showing him that they were her parents, and then basically the reason how Fry got back to the sewer was because of Bender, because of his dumping business, and now that I've got back to the part with the dumping business, while Leela was chasing them, that was when he started dumping water down the sewers because he got the contract to clean out the spittoons in Little Italy. Oh my god! I'm sorry, but that's so hilarious. And the time they were brought down into the sewers the first time was because Bender got the contract for clearing out the set of a movie, Free Movie 3. Oh my god, I'm sorry, I kinda gotta laugh about that anyway. But then that's, now getting back into the segment with Fry, Fry types, after thanking Bender for getting him back down to the sewer so that he could talk to Leela, he tells Bender not, he tells her not to shoot them, but she says that the mutants killed her parents, and that's when Fry said that she's sort of close, and then she takes the hoods off, he takes the hoods off on them, and that's when Leela realizes that they are her parents, and then basically, yeah, they say that, yes, that's true, and then basically Fry explains to her that he had the professor analyze the alien's note that was left with her, and then basically, because of that, Leela wonders what was written on the note, but then Fry says that he doesn't know, but what the analysis of the note did show was that the note was printed on recycled toilet paper, which is a squeeze-ly soft paper used mainly in the sewers. Oh my god, so that's how he figured out that they were from the sewers, it's because of the note was printed on recyclable toilet paper. Oh my god. He didn't know what it was written on it, but he knew it was from the sewer because the note was printed on reusable toilet paper. Oh my god, I'm sorry, but I gotta laugh about that because that's hilarious. And then my mom reads her the note, which basically said that her parents love her very much, and then basically her father says that they still do, and then basically Leela comes to the realization that she's not an alien, she's actually a mutant instead. And then her father tells her that they never wanted her to know she deserved a better life, and then her mom said that she must despise them, but then she starts to get a little sad and a little happy at the same time, and mentioning that basically they're her parents. All she ever wanted to do was to get to know them, and then basically she said that it's the happiest moment of her life. And then basically that's when Bender, now this is gonna sound a little cliche, but what happens is it starts raining in the sewers, but that's only because in this case Bender was dumping water down the sewer. Oh my god. Again, and then so it was sort of like one of those weird, like, sappy romance movies where, you know, like, where it's always raining and stuff near the end of it. Oh my god. I'm sorry, I just had to bring that up. And then basically after dumping the water down the sewer, Bender sees that and he's like, "Aw," and then basically the episode ends after a montage of Leela's childhood up to, from when she was a baby and all the way to her current age, and her parents were always watching over her in each of those flashbacks. And then that's basically where this episode stops. So if you guys like this video when I post it, just please give this video the real best you guys can. And I will see you guys probably Friday for the next video. But until then, guys, just please give this video the real best you guys can, and I will see you guys next time this Friday for the next video. But until then, like I always tell you with this series, fun on a bun.